everybody to the Rev Match Podcast, the automotive podcast, which we're never late. We arrive precisely when we mean to. We are joined tonight. We are joined tonight by my homie Zack, who I've actually known for fucking ever, and he's got a sick ass Integra, and he just put a sequential in it, so we're gonna talk about it. Because
Nice.
why not? Why not?
Yes.
As always,
Fuck
if you haven't
yes.
already,
Sounds
fucking
exciting.
like and subscribe, hit notification bells, buy merch, revmatchpodcast.com. Right? Jesus will love you more, and maybe your dad.
Buy
will
all
come
the
back.
merch. Come on.
Maybe we have a
That
blanket.
is true.
We have a blanket. Go buy it. Go spend money on a
You can
blanket.
cuddle. You can cuddle with the Rev Match podcast.
That
Just saying.
it's not exactly how that works, but
You can try, but I don't
that
think it's
is-
Lame.
that is and also join our Discord. There's a link in bio. You can come talk cars and shit and like whatever. We talk a lot of bullshit. We're fucking nerds. So if you're into nerdy shit, as in all the stuff that's behind me, Mike and Timmy.
Yeah.
Fucking please
Lots of
come.
nerdy shit. Lots of
nerdy
nerdy shit.
Apartment over
Lots-
here.
Yeah, you're like here's my floor, and that's where my hamster lives.
I can't tell you how many Legos I have not built yet. Trust me, it's bad.
Dude,
Is
I've
it bad?
got like 8.
Dog.
You fucking guys, dude. You guys are the absolute worst.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 boxes still of shit.
Once you get past
I
5,
still
buddy.
never bought the giant Ferrari. I haven't built it. It's sitting right there, just in its beautiful
Timmy's better than I
10-foot
am.
box.
I built that bonsai tree, which was my Father's Day
Dude.
present.
Yeah.
Because
The
like,
bonsai tree is sick.
so I've wanted a bonsai like forever, and Jesse's like, you will never fucking keep that thing alive. Like, there's
No.
no universe, because they're like, you have to be all delicate and like spray
They're
them, and, like,
temperamental as fuck.
Yes.
point them towards the west 3 times a day or whatever. And I'm
Correct.
Just like, yeah. And it's just like, I'm not that guy, bro. So she got me a fucking Lego one, and I can't ever kill it. So yeah. And I
Yeah,
get to
we
live-
finished that last night, and the frogs and the flowers are fucking stupid.
It's hilarious, by the way, that they decided to use frogs for cherry blossoms because they didn't want to make another piece. And the funniest thing about it, we're totally off on a fucking tangent, it has nothing to do with cars, but the funniest thing about it was the fact that it has to point out to you that it's the most frogs ever used in any Lego set ever in the book. It's like
Right here on the top of the page.
101 frogs. It's like, no shit. Like, why the
The
fuck
way they
ever?
flexed.
Like, what other possible scenario would you need 101 fucking frogs in a Lego set?
God.
Anyway,
Hey, it's a big flex.
you're right. We're getting froggy. Anyway, like I said, Zach is joining us because he has this, and I'm just gonna put it on the screen so that we can all kind of understand. Oh, what is it? The latest version of the Instagram app to see this type of mix. Holy shit! It doesn't let you show photos anymore.
Oh my lord.
Dude,
That's not good.
Zuckerberg is a fucking cock knocker, dude. Anyway, we'll do it this way instead. This is Zach's car. Ooh.
Ooh.
Hey,
Ooh. So no,
Ah.
I have a scumbag homie confession to make. Me and Jamal used to talk so much shit to Zach about. We were like, sell this fucking car, bro, and go buy something with rear wheel drive, right? Because we were like, he
I
and
remember the
were,
days.
Yeah, he and I would be driving around in our shit boxes in my mismatched 240 and his fucking V6 Mustang. We were like, sell and get rear wheel drive so you can do burnouts. And he was like, no. And then 10 years later, he's got that, and I have an Outback. So we'll see how this
Pretty much.
Yeah, we see who is the winner there. So for the folks at home, Zach, that don't know, and I have brought up your car a couple of times on the show, but yeah, what's your name, age, sex, location, and what's under that hood, baby? What's going on?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Jeez.
You can take that any way you want.
Anyway,
I mean, dude, my buddy, one of my good friends in California actually helped me build a lot of the fucking like custom parts on this car. Is this two-step motorsports up in fucking California. He did one of the engine builds for my car, actually the current engine that's in the car. He built the whole long block for me because I wanted everything blueprinted, balanced. I wanted everything. The car red lines at like 10.2 now.
Holy
Whoa.
shit.
So
Is
did
there
everything.
a video of that? Can we?
I do. I don't know if I put it up on my Instagram or not. I'm pretty sure it's on my phone somewhere. But Julio was in one of them, and
fucking Julio.
You're gonna have to get
Yeah.
that to us at a later date.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If you can get it to me by Thursday when this comes out, so I can like post a sound clip, and also preferably with some of that sweet sequential noise that everybody
Yes.
loves.
Yes, I will have to get a video of it. I've been having some issues with the car. These last, I think, couple weeks. It's been small little things that'll come up and down. Like he was talking about his RV26 earlier.
Yeah.
Just small shit that'll always pop up. I mean,
It's race car
I
shit.
took. Yeah,
do you
it's
do you
gonna
daily
break.
drive this race car?
So Alex can attest to it. I actually dailied this car for probably 10 years.
Forever,
And
bro. Like ever.
It
a
went
straight-
through everything. Like
And when
it
you
went.
had the Buddy Club exhaust on that fucking thing,
Oh
and
my
it was
fucking
so
god,
loud.
bro.
He paid
This thing
$900
was-
for a straight pipe, and it was just.
It was
Oh
just
my
that was back
gosh.
when it was just a moderately built motor. Like it was just a built top end with a stock bottom end. It had the old school JG ProFlow 4.2-to-1 headers. It was no cat, no resonators. It was just a straight 2.5-inch pipe all the way to the back.
Yeah.
But I mean, the car is insane now compared to what it used to be. So, I
So yeah,
mean,
what are we fucking with right now? Like how I know at one point it was making a fuckload of power, and you turned it down because you were like, I don't need all this.
it's
fuck-"
turned back up again. It's just under 700 now, and that I haven't even retuned it for Louisiana, which is a lower altitude. So it's gonna make more power now, and it's moderately like conservative. It made the last time I dynoed it, it made under 700 at about 16 pounds of boost.
Fuck
This
But-
man
you.
comes out and says conservatively, I made 700 horsepower. Like,
We in
yeah,
the
but I
South,
haven't
bro.
tuned it for
It's-
Louisiana yet, so I'll
it's-
probably make like,
Bro,
750, 800.
this-
just,
The South is so
pushing a lot.
fucking skewed. The South is so fucking skewed, bro. Like you tell people, like, oh, it's like 900 horsepower. If it's not 4 bills, it's not fast yet. You know what I'm saying? If it
Yeah,
doesn't have
true.
4 digits, it's not
that's
fast
700 horsepower of a 4-banger. Like, that is
fucking fast.
dumb ridiculous.
Out of an
Like,
Integra.
I
take some
went-
pride in that shit when you say that 700. I make 700 fucking
yet. Say
horsepower.
it from your chest.
Say with your chest.
I mean, it's not 700 just yet, but I mean, it's getting
that a-
there, and
What fuel's
That's
that on?
insane, though.
it's on E85.
Pump
Okay.
or out of a
Regular
can?
Pumpy 85.
Fucking wicked. That's what's
Corn
up.
is
Love it.
life.
Fucking
But-
love it.
So
You should put the Outback on
DMR,
corn.
I will if there's ever a flex fuel kit. I'll fuck around and find out. I don't give a shit,
That would be dope.
bro.
I
you
mean,
don't
you
even
can hit up-
understand.
Darton tuned in San Diego, and they make a custom flat fuel kit for any car.
There you go, Alex. Look at that.
Yeah, send
He
my
just
car
signed you
back
right
to.
up.
Send my car back. Listen, dude, Mike's been talking me off a ledge for the last like 18 hours.
I
so-
know. He told me.
We were playing Destiny when you were texting me.
So
But, I mean,
yeah. No, we're here to talk about Zack's. We'll talk about my stupid shit later. So okay, so so probably 700 horsepower once you get
over the
every
crank power probably over 700, but
That's
I mean,
on
it's-
16 pounds of boost. So like how much could you push through that engine before it's no longer happy about it?
so the motor's built for over 1,000,
Cool.
and
So
there's
you're just
actually I
easing it
think
in.
there's motor build pics on my Instagram from Two Step building it. I don't remember. I'd have to check, but motor right now the way it sits is it's actually a D-stroke 2-liter, and it's got the rotating assembly of a 1.8, but it's got the bore of a 2-liter. So I wanted to do that because I can rev it a lot higher, but still make the same amount of power as
Yeah.
the 2-liter motors. So it's basically like an RB30 with, it's D-stroked.
So it's like a
And-
2.8. It's like an RB28
Yeah.
or some shit.
yeah.
So yeah, there you
Okay.
go.
That's lit.
Okay, so hold on, back up just real quick. So yes, this car is crazy, but you've owned this car since
14 and a
day
half
one.
years.
For how much?
14.
14 and a
I met
half
my
years.
wife in this car.
Ooh, okay.
So I
Okay.
mean, it's like
Did
These
you
are
buy
old
from your
school pics.
dad?
so my
Can,
dad.
can you
I just
go back
funny
to
part.
that turbo picture, please?
Yeah, 1 second.
I'm sorry. Keep telling your story, but I need to look at that picture.
That was when I blew a head gasket. That was fucked up.
Oh wait, this is not making any noise.
Oh Jesus! One of those is insane amounts of fucking RPM.
Well, I can't hear this noise, but I know it's pushing through something, so I know it's going out, but I'm not gonna let it play because I can't control it. But because just Rev Match Podcast where audio issues come to live. Um,
Facts.
dude, this is yeah. Are you still on Honda?
So I just switched to Link, and Link is really cool because they have like a drop-in ECU that's a standalone. It fits in this the OEM Honda box,
That's pretty
and
gangster.
I have
It's a pretty mass.
drive-by-wire.
That's a
I have
pretty
all.
chunky turbo, dude. That's a pretty big turbo for that little fucking car.
So Garrett actually, I reached out to Garrett because Boersma Racing up in Canada, they're a big time attack guy. So I had the front brakes on my car are actually from a limited. It's a time attack. Just he does grid life. He does global time attack. He's the limited front wheel drive record holder at the moment, and he sold me his old brake setup that he did the world record on, and it's been phenomenal. I actually hit a PB out at Willow Springs with them because I
That's
was able to
fucking
late
tight.
brake ridiculously, but
What
it's
was the
it's
time? What was the time? You can't just say I said a PB and then not tell us what it was. What was the time?
so I was 3 seconds off of a GT3 RS,
Oh,
Whoa.
nice.
and I don't
Get
know
an
if he was
Integra.
going conservative or not,
Yeah, you
but
don't. There's no telling, right? But like,
I chased him around streets of Willow, and it was great. It was fun. He was a really cool guy. I don't know his name. I really can't shout him out, but I mean, he even helped me with like tire pressures and like a bunch of shit that made a bunch of difference in my car. Because even though his Porsche's rear wheel drive, tire pressures affect pretty much every single car that you drive on the
yeah,
track.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people don't get that. Cold and hot tire pressures make a huge difference. Like I found the sweet
absolutely,
spot for my car, and
absolutely.
I just kind of kept it. So.
I
Nice.
mean, shit, if it ain't broke, dog.
And
You know what
even
I'm
going down
saying?
to the wing, like Voltex is one of the only companies in the world that actually like, puts their stuff in a wind tunnel on every single car that they build. And I had the wing too far forward, so it was creating too much downforce in the rear end, and it was dragging the car real bad. So I actually had to pull the wing back. And even though it was
Shit.
turbo, it still made a huge difference in lap time. So
I believe it.
it got to that point where I was just tinkering with the car more, trying to make it faster. It got to the point where like I had to slow myself down because I was pushing the driver talent a little too far.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's not the
I mean,
car. You can get a really fast driver in like a stock CRX and just blow everybody away.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
You
But
could, yeah, you'll run out of talent before you run out of power. That's for sure.
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
That's, I mean, that's especially with 700 fucking horsepower, you absolute maniac. So is
Yeah.
that like the goal now? Is just doing time attack, like doing track shit? That's like your primary focus with the car.
That's one reason why I put a sequential in it. It's just so much easier to just slap the shifter back and forth, and it could be a roll race car, but to be honest, I have to switch turbo setups. I have to do everything. The car's actually getting a hood exit. It's going back out the hood again. And
Hey.
I just don't like the drone in the interior when I'm driving it on the street.
So just shove
And
it out the front of the car.
so it's either going to go out the fender, the bumper, or the hood. Or I was going to do some gangster shit and put it out the side skirt. And
Hey, I like the side skirt
the
idea.
side skirt, like. So what side does your hot side terminate? Driver or passenger?
passenger.
Oh, that's perfect. You just you
Yeah.
just run it out underneath over there.
Yeah, I was going to run it out. I was going to do, so I have a 3.5-inch downpipe all the way to all the way to the back, and it's turned down right by the rear axle, which is annoying as fuck.
3.5?
And so I'm just gonna do the
Big.
oval pipe since Vibrant Performance made an oval exhaust, and
Right.
it clears the bottom of the car. So I'm
Got
just
it.
gonna do that. Oh, Jamal, what's up,
Oh,
buddy?
What up, Jack?
Oh,
blunt
this
in
guy.
hand. Fucking
Oh.
blunt in hand. Look at that. Look at my boy.
But no
You ain't got no
gazebo.
volume, dog. You ain't got no volume.
There you
Oh,
go.
there you go.
Oh, it's there. It's just quiet.
We're just gonna expand our boundaries of this chat a little bit so everybody can see what the fuck's going on. There we go. Hey, look at that. Now we can see everything again. Hey Jay, did you know that Zack's fucking Integra that we tried to talk him out of for a million years makes 700 goddamn horsepower?
Yeah.
What it like?
What? You knew? You knew? What?
Like what are we doing? Like what the fuck? The fuck are we doing? Okay, so what the fuck are you saying? You're so quiet and like muffled. One second.
You could go back in time and just trade in the Outback for an Integra, not a new Integra, an old Integra, and just do what he's doing.
I
No,
could.
please don't. You'll just
Uh,
you'll put yourself in so much misery because
I
like I
w-
love my car to death, but holy fuck, like I could have bought a house. Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
This is, but listen, you can sleep in a car. You can't race
Yes.
a house.
Accurate.
It's true.
That's a fact one.
Like I added up all the receipts over the last 14 years, and I've spent close to 90 grand. Like,
Oh, we.
I mean,
and
And
it's
how,
not too
okay, so
bad.
wait. So how many different setups have you been through though?
So
Yeah.
Alex pretty much saw all of them.
I did. I
And
saw a lot of them.
Alex and Jamal saw all of them. When I went with them up to Wickfest, it was a regular GSR stock motor with a header intake, pretty much bolt-ons, and the Buddy Club. And I don't know, I
Okay.
grenaded that motor. Probably 3 months later, I sent a rod through the fucking pan, and I laughed when I did it because I knew it was gonna happen. But I mean, it happens. The original motor had 227,000 miles on it.
So it's a
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a B20. It's no longer VTEC though, right? Didn't you?
It's VTEC still.
It's still VTEC.
So
Damn dog, gangster.
the motor itself, it's the original head, GSR head, but it's it's CNC port and polished. It's got a stage. It's Pro 1 cam, Ferro valve train, titanium retainers, titanium springs, titanium valves, CNC port and polished. The intake manifold is CNC port and polished to match the head. The gasket for the intake manifold to the head is matched to the ports. It's
What the fuck?
3.5
dude?
inch intake, or 3.5 inch charge pipe all the way to a Greddy intercooler. The internals is Manly Turbo Tough rods. It's a stock Type R crank, Aries, just flat top Outlaw pistons. It's still the original RS machine block. Shout out to them. That motor's been in my car for 11 years now.
Jesus.
Damn.
So that sleeve has never dropped. It's never given me head gasket issues. I've never lifted a head unless the gasket went bad, which it has before. But I mean, my old turbo setup, which was an old school competition, it was a 6466, and that was when it was a drag car. I think my fastest on that motor was 947 and 160 miles an hour.
What
No
the
chute,
fuck?
no cage. It had full interior, and I drove it home.
Oh, that's sick.
So like, Zach's been a maniac for like ever. When I tell you that when we would run the canyon, he would be an inch from my bumper. I am not exaggerating. Like I could never see his
You would
headlights.
push my car.
I remember that.
Oh fucking god, dude! I felt so bad about that shit. I fucking Jamal's Mustang had marks from my Integra front bumper on his
'Cause
back bumper.
he would just be like, we would listen. We really thought we was doing something out there in GMR. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's funny because me and Alex were going real hard one night, and I still remember this. He caught dirt,
I remember this.
and
I remember this.
I caught the dirt, but I was coming into the corner way too hot trying to catch him, and I spun real hard. My wife was in the car. I actually
remember
dropped
this.
the rear wheel off the canyon.
Pulled it back up.
and I pulled the car back on the road, and he saw me slow down, so he turned around and came and got me because I was just freaking the fuck out.
He was like spinning on like GMR is like Mosquito Ridge level sketchy. We used to run it at night.
Oh yeah,
Like only at night. We never ridge.
Horrible fucking idea.
I mean,
Never
dude,
seen that road in daylight.
we did it every Friday and Saturday night for like 3 or.
I think it was like it was a long time.
It was a long time, dude. Like I
We
fucking
wasted
lived on that
so much
goddamn
gas.
mountain. Oh, dude.
Like,
And we were so stupid. We used to like run up the mountain at like 95 miles an hour because it's the fastest my piece of shit 240 could get up there. And then like pound 40s and smoke a blunt and then bomb down it at 115. You know what I'm saying?
and it was great though. I mean, I enjoyed
I
the
mean,
old
to say I've
times.
never done that. I mean,
Yeah, it was so much fun.
It was a ton
Oh.
of fun. And yeah.
As long as Julio wasn't behind me, I was cool.
Do you remember that? Dude, that guy's
Julio's tail lights, like Julio's headlights in your rearview mirror, he's so squirrely. It'd be like, oh god, he's gonna hit me. He's gonna
Dude, it's
hit
like
Yeah,
one of those chicks, like trailer park chicks in Louisiana, bro. Their eyes go in different directions. Like
me. Yeah.
it's
You just want to
fucking
be
bad.
like, pink.
Dude. It's
like a
so
TV,
bad.
like fucking smack it to realign that shit. It's so funny, dude. Like magic 8-ball eyeballs. Yeah, it was that shit's so yeah, we spun out that time. There was that night. This one was really sad. We were cruising up, and then like a group of bikers come down, and they're like flagging us, and they're
Oh,
like,
fuck. I
they're
remember
like,
that.
"Have you seen a dude on a blue R6?" And we're like, "Nah."
Yes.
They're like, "He should have been in front of us." And I was like, "Bro, we just ran from the bottom of the mountain. I haven't seen anybody. Like nobody."
He was at the
down.
bottom.
Yeah.
You remember that
like-
one night when that
Facts.
Outback crashed into that tree?
No, it
Were
wasn't
you there?
Outback. It was a
Yeah.
WR. It was a WRX.
It was a WRX, yeah.
yeah.
This dude full locks it, Kim blocks it around the corner and just flies into a tree, and we're like,
Oh,
trying to
you told us
train
that
chain.
story. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
I was
he
there.
hits
Yeah,
a
he
tree.
was there. Zach was there that
He
night.
hits a tree. He rolls it into this like weird ditch. He gets out and he's like, I'm the shit. And then everybody's like, turn the fucking car off, dude, because it's like about to catch on fire. It's upside down. Like, turn the fucking engine off, dude. And he's like, oh shit. So he has to climb back in the car. And then he has to call his dad from the top of this mountain at 3:00 in the morning. Like, hey, I fucking rolled the WRX. And it was a GB hatch, and this is like 2010. So it was a brand new WRX wagon.
Yeah.
Oh, he got his ass in trouble.
10 out of 10, bro.
Remember that one
10 out of-
night? It was you that night I spun coming by behind you. You got pretty worried about it. Then you see me fly up ridge, and
Yeah,
you
I
were
was
like, "Oh,
like,
he's fine."
He's fine.
And like,
Like GMR was sketchy, and then Ridge Road is like,
it's worse.
you don't care if you live or
Yeah.
die type sketchy, right? Like single lane,
Yeah.
no guardrail, 6,000 feet down any way you look at it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just fuck
Yep.
it, dude.
Julio almost died on that fucking shit.
Do
He
you
he went up with some dude in a fucking FC that didn't know how to
remember
drive.
that shit. The red
Yeah.
FC. I remember that
Yeah.
shit. I
He
remember
was
that shit.
teeter tottering on an embankment. Like
Fuck, I
it
feel
was
like I have a
teeter
photo.
tottering.
So this dude, so there's like it's a decreasing radius right-hander, but you can't really see how tight it gets on the back end until you're already
Nope.
in it or you know it, right? So he goes
Yeah.
in at full steam, and the RX-7 just goes onto a berm, like, and it's just rocking, and over here is just straight mountain, and then so it's
Julio's
high.
just like, that was sick.
Yeah,
Like,
fucking idiot, fucking. You remember? Do you remember, bro? Do you remember when he drifted up the fucking ridge road in his open diff S14? And then the dudes from Rev Clothing were up there, and they had their 600 horsepower. Like it's 600 horsepower, like 2010 E46 drift car, right?
Yep.
Full fucking like Pro 2 car on the mountain, and the guy, they're all sitting up there partying, whatever, and the dude's like, if you can do that again, I'll let you drive the 46. And I looked him dead in his eyes, and I was like, that is the last fucking dude you want driving your car. Trust me. Like, dude,
100%.
like, if you want to throw $150,000 off a mountain, that's the guy you go see. Like, do not
Yeah.
fucking give them his
Like,
car.
dude,
Julio, his S14.
What he
was
just
so
did was a
sketchy.
pure accident.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, his S14 was so jacked, dude.
Dude, this motherfucker he used to, he had his wiper motors wouldn't work, so he'd have to like crawl out the window while he's driving and wipe the fucking window with the microfiber rag because he couldn't see out of it anymore.
Do you remember when he like refused to put a new tire on it? So he put
Yes.
like 5 cans
Oh,
of monkey
fuck
snot
that
in the
night.
tire.
Yeah.
I almost crashed into the back of you that night because fucking you slid through all of his shit going under the underpass. God, my God.
So we're like, he was like, I want to go, I want to roll. I'm like, listen, dog, if you want to throw 5 cans of monkey snot in this bitch and see what happens, like, I'm here for it. Like, whatever, right? Let's do it. So we pump it up, we pump it full of air, we get 5 miles down the road, and it just lets go, dude. And it's just all
it's
this
because he
fucking
rolled out of the Chevron fucking at like
hot as fuck.
7,000 RPM.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, right. It's like my tire's better holding on. Let's do a burnout. You know what I mean? It's just fucking.
Julio
So-
was balls to the wall, bro. Like he was ridiculous. For
That's
no reason.
one. That was one way to put it. But yeah, so he pulls out. I have to hit my brakes. I slide through his monkey snot and bump into the back of his car. And then he leans out and he goes, "Hey, just push me since you're already there." And I'm like, "All right."
Okay.
Okay. So he just pushed his fucking piece of shit into some lot and then went and hit the mountain anyway. Like right after that, it's like, okay, that's what we're doing. Yeah.
It's
So this
so
is
bad.
this is like the shithead stuff we grew up doing. Was like with cars. dude.
I
Like,
actually
we're-
painted that car.
I remember you painted that piece of shit.
Okay.
Yeah. I
I
wouldn't
actually made
go
it look really nice after that, but it
for
was
what
still,
it was. Yeah, it was still a turd.
It was. He tried to rebuy it. Like that's the way Julio is.
Bro. Love the guy to death. Not exactly the master of aesthetics. I don't know if you remember his Evo. But anyway, enough shitting about people who aren't here to defend themselves.
Gold wheels.
Gold wheels and a giant SoCal Evo sticker on the bumper, but whatever.
He actually owns SoCal Evo now.
I know he does. But he doesn't own an Evo. Then again, I own
I
an
know.
automotive podcast and I drive a wagon, so whatever.
It's a great point.
It's a great point. So anyway, man. So how much did you spend on that fucking sequential? I have to know. Like, I really need to. Like, what are we talking here, dude?
So I worked with DMRR out of Ireland because Quaife doesn't really sell their transmissions to the public.
You have to have a
They're
race team or some shit.
pretty much. So DMRR out of Ireland, they build B series sequentials, and then Momentum Motorsports in the UK builds the K series side of it. So
Gotcha.
there's only one shop in the world that sells this transmission, and it irritated the fuck out of me because they're in Ireland and the time difference is so retarded that I had only had like a 4
It's
hour
so
window.
unfortunate. I'm just kidding.
And it got to that point where I hit him up once a day for like 2.5 months,
Oh, dude.
just trying to like get gear ratios together because I still wanted to have some type of mile per hour on the back end.
All right.
And I ended up paying like 13.5 for this transmission.
That's
I
not.
mean,
as-
that's not bad.
for sequential.
No, it's not
And
bad.
for like the
People
one
gotta remember
shop
the
in the world.
Transmission's the size of a brick. It's
Okay,
not.
does that include shipping?
Yeah.
Does that
Not
include shipping?
bad.
I mean,
That's a
listen,
good
from Ireland, that's fucking nothing. That's not nothing. But I mean, because the reason why is that the only other barometer I have for like what a race-ish transmission for a four banger costs is Gurney's car, and he has a dog box in his car, not a sequential, and he paid 12, and it was
So, I
in the
mean, like,
States.
Dog boxes are the same thing. It's like it's still a dog engagement transmission.
Right. It has a sequential
sequential.
shifter on it. Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, like it's relatively the same thing. I mean, it's just the first time I put this car out on the road, this car clunks like a motherfucker now.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's just the dog engagement gears are awesome because you don't need to use the clutch with them.
Right.
And DMR was cool enough to create their own billet shifter for it. So they made their own shifter setup, and instead of having the actual fucking shifter rod go underneath the car, bolt to the transmission, this goes through the firewall directly to the transmission, and that's how it shifts now. So there's no like bushings or any of that stuff that can go bad. So it's a solid setup. It just costs money, and a lot of people don't want to do it because, I mean,
It was some
realistically,
drivability, right? Like some daily
Yeah.
drivability and shit.
I mean, like for me, I put the flat foot shift on it, and it's stupid. Like it sounds like a jigsaw going on the highway.
That's so rad.
Like-
There's like, Zach, why are there no photos of any of this shit on your Instagram, bro? I want to see this shit. And I know that you sent some. Let me see if I can take the ones that you sent to me and like put them on the screen. So no, continue on.
But I mean, over the years, like this car, the full setup on it, it's got full aero. It's a splitter. I can't get a hold of the company anymore. It was a small company out of California. It was one of the first Integras in the United States that had TC105Xs from Wed Sports on it in that color. It was the only one in the world that I know of at that time when I got them. The front end has a backstory. I actually had a bug eye front end on it before, but a GTR hit me on the freeway.
I remember this.
So he ripped the front bumper off, broke both my headlights, bent one of my fenders, and ripped part of the radiator support out. And I had to rebuild the whole car. He actually bought the front end for me because he was like, well, we can go through insurance or I can buy you the parts to fix your car. I know a guy. I was like, all right, cool. Like, this is like a 25-year-old dude that had tons of money. So
Perfect.
It do be LA.
So, like,
Right.
he painted the front end for me, got it
That's
put
cool.
on for me, and did everything for me so I wouldn't go through insurance because I'm pretty sure he was too young to be owning a GTR anyway. And it was an R35, so back in those days where they were expensive as hell.
Can
And-
confirm
Yeah, his
they would
insurance
have.
probably
Yeah, can
gonna be
confirm that would have.
crazy.
Yeah, would have been bad. Would have been real bad.
But yeah,
That's fucking yeah. It's like there's so many fucking stories that I remember.
yeah.
like, okay, it's funny now. I know you were really upset about it at the time, but it was funny for everybody else when it happened, and I'm sure it's funny to you now. We were making a left one time, and it was a squad of us. There was like 9 of us that night. We're rolling on, and we're all just. You remember this shit? We're just chilling. We're not even going. We're not even going fast, bro. We're just like taking a left turn off of it. We were sitting at a light at a left turn lane. Light turns green. We all go, and then for some reason, Zack hits this fucking left, and it's like gravity picked this fucking car up and yeeted it into a telephone pole. Like, it was the most ridiculous thing.
Nothing got hit on the car except the wheel, which
Yeah,
made no
Yeah.
sense.
It was so weird. It was like I watched it happen right in front of me, and if you fucking held a gun to my head, I could not explain to you what the fuck just happened. Like,
I went back
And
and
Zach
looked
got
at it.
so mad because we were all like, dude, what were you doing? He's like, I was just turning left. He's like, nah, you were showing. I was just fucking turning. Like, the car fucking thing was like, nah, bro.
yeah,
Like, you
come
just
on.
showed up.
There's 8 of us made it fine. What are you talking about?
I don't know what happened, to be honest.
That
Like,
was wild, bro. That
it
was,
was
yeah.
bad.
I was literally right behind you when it happened, and I couldn't, for $1 million, I couldn't tell you how the fuck that happened. But it just,
Oh,
I
man.
still can't to this day explain why the fuck my car decided to do whatever it did. I don't know if a part let go or something broke on the rear end when I came around the corner. I have no idea because
it was so funny though. I mean, again, it's funny now. It wasn't funny
it is
then
now.
because you had Mugen wheels on it. I knew you were really bummed about the wheel.
Yeah.
And that type of
It's
shit.
still my mom's fucking plant holder.
That wheel?
Not joking. Yes, she keeps her spider plants on that shit. Like, I still have that wheel on my balcony.
That's fucking
Like-
rad, dude. I mean, that's the thing that's really interesting to me
Upcycle.
about like this car is like when we were younger, you were putting like nice shit, the nicest shit you could afford on the
Yeah.
car, right? Like he had Mugen Wind and he had Mugen wheels, and you were
I
like
have 'em.
you were doing like fucking paint work in the front of your house and like shit like that. You know what I mean? Like just
Yep.
doing odd jobs here and there. And he was like just throwing all of it into this fucking Integra all the time. And we're like, what is this kid doing? This is what he's doing. So
Yeah.
don't listen to your parents, kids. Work shitty jobs.
Don't listen to your friends either.
Yeah, exactly. Your friends are
That's like,
fucking
that's
wrong.
my
How
mom.
many cars did we try to get you to buy instead of throwing money? He was like, dude, you could have bought this by now. It's like, no.
And it's
Yeah.
true. I
Good.
mean, I could have bought a lot of things, but this car has a lot of sentimental value. My dad bought it brand new off the Acura dealer lot in 2001.
Hell yeah.
I bought it off of him after high school because I dropped out, and his deal with me was if you pass high school, you get the car for free. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, that didn't fucking work. But
How much you want for it?
so I bought it off of him for $5,500, and that was a lot of
Jesus.
money to me back in the day.
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Tax that
I've
ass.
kept it all along, and it's actually about to get taken apart fully again, and I'm going to repaint and acid dip the whole chassis, re-seam seal everything, re-stitch weld the entire chassis. It's getting painted deep blue pearl off the R35.
Good color choice.
Hell
It's a
yeah.
good color choice.
Yeah.
It's
So-
interior door
Are
jambs.
you doing that yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing it all myself.
Fuck.
Zach's been doing paint work since we were like right out of high school. Like,
So,
Yeah.
like, the acid
Like-
dipping and the seam sealing, I'm not gonna do. I'm gonna have a frame workshop do it.
yeah, for sure. But
But-
everything else.
It's like when I met a really good friend of mine out here in Louisiana. He's got an R30. He's the guy I was talking about earlier. He's got an R32, and it's just one of those gyms in the middle of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
I was at a small car show of like maybe 20 people show up at this Advanced Auto Parts in my town, and
Is this the blue one, by the way?
yeah, the fucking Bayside Blue R32.
Yeah.
And he bought that car 4 years ago for 25 grand. And
Oh,
you know, it's just like me and him clicked. We were good friends like off the bat, and like I keep my car at his house now because when I was on deployment, my car sat outside for 7 to 8 months, and the paint
Hey.
was just trashed when I got back.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That sucks. That fucking
So,
blows. Yeah.
mean-
I remember this kid fucking painting his Mugen spoiler with rattle cans and like paint matched it to his car. And I was like, how the fuck?
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
crazy.
Like, how the fuck do you even? How does one do this? Like,
He's the whole reason
Like-
I rattle canned my car in the driveway. I was like, dude, I've seen somebody do this before.
When I
and
was
it,
at Jamal's house,
matched
I
the
think it's-
original.
Freaking
I was like,
transmission
fuck
out
that.
for like 6 hours. That was
Oh
so
god, I remember you busted your knuckles and like cussed out the whole like apartment complex. Like everybody was like, "Who's that guy you have out there? Like, is he like, what's wrong with him? I was like, yeah, he kind of like busted his hand on my training. He's really pissed right now. And he was like, well, he's cussing so. I was like, bro, you go talk to him.
You want to go talk to
So-
him? I go talk to him.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him do his thing.
I mean, it's
Are
still
you just like doing this like at your house, or do you have like a shop where you're doing all the work and
shop
everything?
now.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I went a little bit more legit. I mean, I still do some sketchy shit sometimes, but it's
When I
it's
tell you he used to paint cars and like do paint work in front of his house, I mean he lived in an apartment and he would do it in the street in front of his house.
Yeah,
And he do
kind of
damn
a
fine
main
work.
street.
Damn fine work, like no lie.
Oh, you were the mobile paint guy that dealers used before dealers used mobile paint guys.
Except the
Yeah.
dealers are just the homies in the neighborhood with $500.
Exactly.
Right.
Speaking of that, I got a GTR I need to talk to you about.
Shit, you're gonna ship that bitch
like,
to Louisiana.
it's to the point where like the paint you see on the car now has been on there, I don't know how many years, and I painted it in a garage. Like,
Okay.
it's all in prep work. It's how you prep the
I'm
car.
sorry.
Like,
Yeah.
if you actually spend time to prep it and do the work on it, it'll look great no matter what. Like, I painted the car with a fucking Harbor Freight paint gun. Like,
Love that.
it's like I've got more legit stuff now, but I mean it's getting to that point where like I want the car to be aesthetically look good,
Yeah.
and I'm done with it almost. Like, I have a digital dash coming for it, all new sensors coming for it. It's pretty much done as far as there's a NASCAR, old school NASCAR rear brake setup I'm gonna put on it, and
Ooh,
it's
okay.
it's going from a one piston to a two piston rear. Bad thing is I won't have my e-brake anymore, so I have to find a way to fabricate something so I can have my OEM e-brake again. But
Or do something stupid and baller and put like an electric e-brake on it just for the fuck of it. Because it's like if you're gonna have drive-by-wire and boost-by-gear and traction control and the whole other shit, might as well have a fucking electric parking brake while you're at it, bro.
so I mean, the guy that's gonna tune the car next, actually in the next couple weeks, so I'll have a dyno video up for you guys on that. It's down in Houston. It's called Stupid Tuned. He's a really good Honda tuner. He's probably one of the best Honda tuners in the United States.
Yeah.
And he does everything though. He does, 2,000 horsepower Supras, RBs. He tuned with T1 up in Dallas for a while.
Guys know their shit.
So the car used to be tuned by T1 and Tony Paulo up in Dallas, but he no longer like messes with cars he doesn't build. So I mean, which is understandable because everybody's like,
that makes sense.
Well,
That makes
plus,
sense.
especially when you see what they're doing with like GTRs and Lambos and Audis and shit, he's just like he's in that like,
So he actually offered to help me with my car because I used to be tuned by him,
Oh, that's cool.
and he was just like, "Look, man," he was like, "You got to drop your car off at my shop, and I got to go through everything."
Yeah.
And he was like, "I have to fix everything that's broken. I don't want people." He's like, "I understand because everyone's like, oh my god, your tune broke my car." Like, no, motherfucker, it's not how it works.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a man that's been roasted on the internet way too many times.
yeah, and it's just, he's building $500,000 GTRs. Like,
Yeah.
I don't expect him.
He built the 6-second one that just broke the fucking record, right? The Lambo
I
one.
watched it happen, and
That
I was
was-
down at 2K when Ricky broke the world record. I think it was like 237 miles an hour in the standing quarter mile.
So if you haven't seen the video, it was from like 2 or 3 months ago, and it's a black GTR R35 and a twin turbo Lambo.
Oh,
And-
dude, that
YouTube
video
Lambo.
is mind blowing.
So the Lambo is out on him like 2.5 cars, and he
Mhm.
just reels this motherfucker in like he's standing. This is a 2,000 horsepower Lambo. This is not a fucking joke. This is a fast ass car, and he just reels this motherfucker in like it's no big deal, and somehow still hits the world record, starting that quote unquote slow. Craziest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
The track was actually shortened for the event, and
Okay.
so they broke out UG, which I'm not going to talk any crap because UG builds some amazing Lamborghinis,
Yeah.
but they were all, T1 and UG were going at it a lot because they're two of the top dogs in the roll racing world.
Right.
And they came out, went 230. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's crazy!" And then Ricky came out and blew almost 240 without his nitrous on. By the way, I'm just letting y'all know that he had, I think, a 300 shot left.
What the fuck?
So the car makes over 3,000. Like,
Okay, I just found it, but I have not seen the show.
That's
Yeah,
mind-boggling.
yes, you have.
Let me.
It's
Is
been
it?
in the weekend drives so many
It's
times.
yeah. It's the. It's on. Is it on
Oh,
T1s?
it's that. Oh yeah.
Yes, the one that
Oh
the
yeah.
brake boosts and it just like takes off and
so like
Yeah.
he jumped out on him, and like roll racing, you're not gonna get the start perfect ever. Like, so this dude like he just nails it and blows by him and doesn't let out. He let out I think like 100 feet before the finish line and still turned a 237, like without the nitrous on.
That's
So
fucking
it's like
wild.
That's
it's
nuts.
I got to
Let
So
me.
watch
give
it.
him a couple of passes and then put the squeeze on, and Jesus.
Well, it's like if you ever like a lot of people aren't into Honda stuff, and I get it because Honda people have bad rap as back in the day type stuff. But if you ever follow somebody called Speed Factory Racing, I have some of their parts on my car. They're the fastest Honda all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive, sport front-wheel drive in the world. They went 747 at 210 miles an hour in the quarter in a front-wheel drive Honda, and they just broke the world record again for all-wheel drive. They went 690s at 201. So it's
Fucking
That
like,
is
stupid.
absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I'm trying to find a video of this shit.
Oh, okay. I've been waiting to ask somebody this. Zach,
so
the new Integra.
Oh,
okay,
good question.
so I'm
Well,
not
he
gonna.
You
hasn't driven
dropping
one.
52 on that
I
thing?
have.
Nobody should.
Oh, you
Nobody
have you
should.
driven a new Integra?
I haven't exactly driven the car. I've sat in it. I've started it. I've looked at it. I've went through it. It's okay. So back in the days when Honda was into building their cars, for the model my car, the Civics, they all had double wishbone suspension. They all had stuff to turn corners, but they were just everyday gas saver cars that you could race if you wanted to, and they would handle great.
Right.
Right.
But the new car is made for luxury. Like
Yeah.
it's fitting the agenda of the people that drive modern day luxury cars that are not Lexuses and Mercedes but I mean it just shows you that Acura still has or Honda still has some type of building ingenuity because they still made the new NSX, they made the CTR, and they just kind of bits and pieces throwing it out there. The new Type S for the Acura Integra looks great, but I won't own one, to be honest.
Not the problem is
too
That's
much
what I
money.
was getting at.
It's
Is
too
it the
much money.
price or what?
I've spent 90 grand on a fucking old Honda. Like
not the price is just not the
okay,
same.
but no. Okay, hold on. For that perspective, if all of a sudden that Integra was 35 grand, the whole world would shit themselves and be all about that car because what they're providing. But because that car is 52,
it's too much money.
It's too
it's
much
too
money.
much money for the car. It's too much money for the name and the brand for the car. Because
Like
we
the
all go back to an Integra, like you said, was great chassis, good fuel economy. You could go buy one at the dealership for
Mhm.
fucking stripped down LS model for what?
It was
17, 16 grand?
Yeah, they were really
a
cheap.
Type R Integra that came with stitch welded chassis from the factory. Came with a 201 horsepower 4-cylinder motor, which held I think it was horsepower per liter for I don't know how many
Minute.
years
It was a minute.
Yeah, for a minute, yeah.
until the S2000 came out, and then it was 240 horsepower and under 2.2 liters.
It was a
So
20,
it was-
right? It's 2.0, right? Yeah.
So the only one that broke that was the Ferrari 48 GTB, which recently took it from Honda because Honda was the only car in the world that had that much horsepower per liter ever. And
Which
it's
is
got that point.
crazy to think about, by the way.
And like the AP1 was, I like the AP1 more than the AP2. Like
That's when
me,
they revved higher, right? The AP1 revved
Revved
higher than it.
9 grand stock, and the AP2 revved to like 8,200, and which is still insane if you really think about it. Like,
It's a lot of RPM.
but
Yeah, that's still pretty high.
That goes back to the point, though. Like, the problem is that car is just too fucking
It's
expensive.
too expensive.
it is.
So
way too expensive.
I've read because now like the embargo is lifted on the driving experience and all that shit. So I've been reading articles and everybody says, I mean, Matt Farah who loves fucking exaggerating, but at the same time he's generally not wrong. He's like it's the best front wheel drive production car in a decade.
In a
And
decade, yes.
I believe it. In the last 10 years, it probably is the best front wheel drive car. But a GTI is probably like 7/10 of the car for $20,000 less.
Right.
And it is.
I
like,
mean,
that's what I'm
or
saying.
for the same price, you buy a Golf R and you have all-wheel drive.
Exactly.
Not the same car, though.
I mean,
But,
personally, I mean, it's
well,
all
no,
in
not
your-
same car, but you have all-wheel drive. If I'm sorry, but I'm an all-wheel drive person. So if I
Sure.
can pay the same price for a performance car that's a hatchback, it's the Golf R.
But it's like there's driving dynamic differences, right? You'll have liftoff
Yeah.
oversteer in an all-wheel drive car, whereas a front-wheel drive car is not going to do shit like that. You know, it's just it's different. It's a completely different thing, and I think that like when I was younger, it was like rear-wheel drive or nothing, right? Because that's like a sports car. And then as I've gotten older, I've realized like there's different cars have their different strengths, they have their different weaknesses, right? Like all-wheel drive cars get squirrely, you kind of pray and hope it works out.
You don't have to be honest.
Right.
Like it's you either like me. I was having understeer issues in my car because I was running too wide of a tire on the front, and I talked to a guy in Japan that ran the same setup as I did, and he was like, I dropped a tire size, and the understeer went away. So he started messing with it a little bit, and he went up a tire size from what he was doing. And it actually, I don't know what it was about that tire size, but the car didn't like it, and we ran the same setup. And the suspension I have on I have JRZs on my car, and that
just
suspension,
race car
I
shit.
think it was the standard JRZ suspension for your everyday driver is like $6,500. The one I have in my car is the Pro 2s, which are about 11.5. And I
You
didn't
ain't
really.
shit.
No, it's not. It's not. I got a great deal on it.
Mag right.
No, I'm just fucking with Timmy because I like to fuck with Timmy.
At that point where like I was driving with a lot of when I got serious into tracking before the army, I would talk to a lot of guys that were into mixing and mixing setups and just messing with other cars. And I let a guy hop into my car and he drove it around the track and he was like, that was the most comfortable thing I've ever driven. And he was like, the car, you put it where it wanted to be or you put it where you wanted it to be and it would go. Whereas some cars will fight you and they'll get squirrely, you'll have to correct them. And it got to that point where I went from, I think I hit like my fastest lap time of Streets of Willow was like a 124, and that was 3/4 of the throttle.
That's
And
moving, dude.
It's a pretty fucking fast car.
Yeah.
Quick car.
Yeah.
It's fast.
It
We're
was
zooming.
it was to the point where like I actually blew the motor that day, which sucked. But it was a brand new built motor, and it was actually the current motor that I have in my car, same setup and everything. But I bought an ATS carbon twin disc from Japan, and I was having transmission problems because I ran a competition twin disc before, and the rigid discs are just way too much stuff on the transmission. It just so much friction on the transmission, it was causing issues. And I talked to a guy in Japan that does a lot of time attack over there, and he was like, you need to switch to a carbon disc and not such a heavy pressure plate because it's messing with the transmission really bad.
Yeah, too much friction in between like the gears and all. Yeah, I can see that.
So I ended
Too
up going
much grip, essentially, right?
I was super excited to put the transmission on and do the clutch setup and get it out there. And I started hearing a knocking noise, maybe the second session out. And I was like, great. I put the motor up. Cool. And it ended up being the flywheel was coming loose. And I'm surprised that thing didn't come off because the front straightaway I was like 9,800 RPM coming down the front straightaway. And I started hearing the knocking noise, so I pulled it in and it shut off. I don't know what saved me that day, but the timing belt jumped, and
Oh shit!
it bent all the intake valves, so the car wouldn't restart. I had to get it towed home. And they told me if the timing belt wouldn't have slipped, the clutch would have came off, and then the whole front end of my car would have been destroyed. Because
that would have not have been a fun time on track.
Oh
would've
wow!
been
So,
even not have
eventually, so essentially, the timing belt jumping was saved your ass.
yeah, because I missed a gear because the clutch was coming loose, so I missed a gear coming into the front straightaway, which caused the timing belt to jump. And
Gotcha.
So at 9,800 RPMs, going down that front straightaway, how fast are you going?
I don't look at the speedometer. Like
I mean, are you above 100 miles an hour, or is it a shorter straightaway?
It's a decent straightaway. It's coming from a downhill too.
Do you,
Oh,
do you
fun.
catch?
He's
So
decent.
in your car, do you catch top of fourth gear then?
So yeah, well mid fourth, like going into the top of fourth.
You're doing You're probably doing a $120, $130,
Something like that.
probably.
It's not
yeah.
slow.
Yeah, it's not slow.
I mean,
Get down.
you say mid fourth at 9,800 RPM because you said it red lines at 12.
So
Fine.
like I shifted from third to fourth at 9,800, and I don't know where I was at the end of that straightaway, but that's when I heard all this shit going on. So I shut her down, and it's a fun car. I love it. I'll never sell it. I've gotten to the point where I've had $200 in my bank account, and I had rent to pay, and I was still dumping parts into this thing. So it's
Hell yeah.
Well,
You
like
got-
what Alex said, I mean, you can still live in
In
the
the car.
Integra.
yeah.
You can always sleep
I'm
in
not gonna put my wife through that. Like
She's short enough; she could sleep in the back. It'd be fine.
and man. Like,
You get an ass whooping every single night for that
Oh,
shit.
Yeah,
But
dude,
100%.
Zach's wife is nobody to fuck with, bro.
every single night, she whoop
Um,
your ass.
And you guys, I mean, shit, Zach's a long-term relationship guy. He's known his fucking old lady for.
we
Well,
did.
you said,
Ever.
what, back since you met her in your car, right?
Yeah, I had my car for a month.
14
And-
years.
Yeah, I just turned 14 years. Like, she's been through a lot. Army, car, life. She's a nurse. She's a BSN, so she makes more money than I do.
Oh, she
But-
deals with
Yeah,
her
but she
own
doesn't get to
bullshit.
blow shit up for a living.
Yeah, I mean, the Army is fun. I mean, I'm not gonna down talk it. But, I mean, there's times where I'm just like, I want to put in my 2 weeks, but I can't because I'm under contract.
Yeah,
But
that's the
it-
funny thing about selling your soul to the U.S. government. They don't really let you. There's no returns.
Those contracts.
Yeah, no refunds on that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's great. I mean, it's afforded me things like my truck. It's afforded me my truck, and I really can't. I really can't talk it
You
down.
guys got a good life. You got a fast car. You got a good wife. It could be fucking worse, dog. You know what I'm saying?
No, it 100%.
You'd still be sleeping on your mom's couch in Alhambra, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
But yeah, I
fucking
mean,
wild.
it's getting to the point where like now I'm starting to get finished with the car, and I'm just gonna do like little upgrades every now and then when new parts come out. It got to that point where I'm just like, it got down to the point where I was gonna do a full underbody like carbon fiber just tray all the way from the front to the back, and
Yeah.
just make it a flat bottom car. But then I started watching videos of cars catching air, and I'm just like, I was like, yeah, let's not do that. Like,
Dude, the
Yeah.
Lexus at the drag strip is still like
Oh, the
100%.
Ecanu one? Yeah.
that haunts
Dude.
me to this day, dude. Like,
It's, yeah.
God,
Nothing like a
Holy
$500,000.
what was
It's-
that one car? I think it was Le Mans.
Was it the
And-
GTR that fucking caught
Yeah.
air and just, yeah,
The
it hit.
Mercedes.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
it hit the fence and shit. Like, yeah, it was pretty, it's sketchy, dude. Yeah, you start going like,
200
Race
miles
car-
an hour.
race cars are like, it's like this intersection of like fast and unsafe, right? And eventually you get to that point where it's like, this is fast as it could possibly get, but if it goes wrong, it's gonna go really, really wrong. Like everything's gonna
the
get bad
fucking
real quick.
the Formula One guys, like
Oh,
mad
dude.
respect, dog. Like the reaction time, the lack of vision, like
The fact that you have to drive the car
The
faster,
cojones.
yeah, if you don't
Yeah.
drive it fast enough, it will kill you.
yes.
I
You
mean,
know?
that's why
Yes.
in like if you watch their qualifying, like when somebody is going slow through a corner and it impedes somebody else's lap time, they get a penalty for being slow in the corner because you fucked somebody else up.
And
Yeah.
you
If you
kill
guys
them.
go back and watch the highlights from the Canadian Grand Prix, which just happened, Hamilton and
Norris-
Alonso, dude,
Yeah,
it was Norris did some crazy shit.
I saw.
He made some crazy moves, but Alonso and Hamilton had such close fights. Like Alonso cut into Hamilton and like got past him so close, and Hamilton was just like directly on his ass in the straight. Like if he broke early, like that's a crash.
That's some OG
mean,
Schumacher shit. Just straight up not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And that's not
Get
Hamilton.
out my way, bitch.
No way.
No, Hamilton's
small in the
usually
can.
He's
calculated.
very
I think.
reserved. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he's just calculated. He's like a knife, right? He just like, this is what the car is going to do. This is where I'll put it. This is where it's going to be. Blah blah blah. But I think he's getting older. I think he's realizing he's getting a little bit slower.
Oh yeah.
And you've got fucking Max Verstappen, who's like 12 years old.
And there's no fighting it.
Yeah, Max Verstappen's eating his fucking lunch. You know what I mean?
I mean,
And it's like
he wins 10 seconds ahead every couple races.
fucking wild, bro. That's so fucking fast. That's in a spec-ish racing series.
Yeah.
Speaking
Oh,
of
yeah.
unexpectedly fast, and Zach will appreciate this, can we talk about the goddamn Camaro and Le Mans for a second?
Yes, please.
Okay, it did
Freedom.
great. It,
Freedom.
when
Freedom.
it's passing prototype models,
And
that
like,
shit is sick.
Let's
and
just be
granted,
honest though. Like
it has
that
more
car
power.
did have way more power than
Yeah.
prototype cars.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
it's
when
also
if
not
you're gonna be gangster
1,400
like that-
pounds.
I mean, like
Hey.
even in the turns, like not even in the straights. I mean, it was on the prototypes.
The fact that they
asses.
finished 4th with a transmission change mid race,
Yes.
Yeah.
like you got to be understanding that this car was built 9 months ago, and
It's a modified
it was
NASCAR.
tested- It
modified
was
NASCAR.
built a straight up fucking just a gangster car that had it was a modified NASCAR that had headlights, mirrors, and that was
Some
it.
arrow. Some like they put
Like-
canards on it.
Like they put a fucking wing on it, and
Yeah.
it just called it a day. And we're like, yeah, cool. I mean, if it had active arrow, that thing would be fast as shit.
Yeah.
Like
That's crazy. It's
That's
the right
beauty
car to
of
pick.
GM though. Like, there's an open checkbook for that kind of shit. If they want to throw money at something, they don't give a fuck. Like,
and it's just it's such a huge
Yeah.
it's such a huge thing for GM because like the Camaro is going away and nobody knows what's gonna happen to it, right? So they're
Yep.
like, let's just like show these
Full send.
motherfuckers like we still got it. Hopefully, whatever comes next is still dope. GM just announced they're throwing another $1 billion at their internal combustion engine program,
Oh yes.
so they're not going anywhere. Like,
what's like
Audi's
Sorry.
not going full electric. By
Can
what
we
they said.
can we go back in time and find the episode where I said the internal combustion engines aren't going anywhere?
Oh, they're not. No,
They're not.
5,000% agree with you, brother.
yeah, no, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. No.
Well, I
but
mean, if you look at it, like fucking even everybody that wants to go into the electric car stuff, like I get, like I know Alex used to work at Tesla, and
there's no love lost there, brother. Trust me.
it just gets to that point where like my buddy had like I have a 2021 Ram 2500 diesel, and my buddy has an electric F-150, and
Trash, bro. Trash.
he towed his trailer like 110 miles, and
Died,
he died in the middle of the road and had to charge his truck, and I do 700 miles on a tank with my race car behind me,
Right.
and it just gets to that point where like you got economic loss. Like you bought a truck for that much. Like I'm not gonna say I didn't spend a shit ton of money on my truck because I did.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
different.
But it just gets to that point where like
it's a matter of use case, and I firmly believe this. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with electric cars. I think competition is good. I think having variety in the market is good, and I think electric cars have their place. Even electric performance cars, I feel, have their place. But
there's a guy that rode
Yeah.
a Tesla at
Yeah.
Willow Springs, and he's
and it's
pretty
fast.
Okay.
It's
He's fast.
Yeah,
fuck.
That
electric
guy
cars
is
are
bad.
fine. Just
Yeah.
give me the option.
That's the thing,
Like-
right? And and mainly because like most people that drive pickup trucks, they don't tow with them. They don't do they don't do truck shit with them at all. They just want a big truck. And a Lightning
Oh,
or like the
God.
Ram Rev or like any of those electric trucks or Rivians, all that shit, perfect for people like that, right?
To
And you
me,
just want- Yeah, you
Dude,
just-
if I see another Rivian or Dodge Ram or the new Silverado, like in LA, not pulling shit, I'm gonna
Oh,
lose it.
dude, it's that's
the
it-
problem is
don't
if
come
you,
to
if you
Texas.
drive.
Can't park at the fucking grocery store.
Yeah.
Like you're 4
Don't
feet
come-
tall in a lifted truck. I seen a dude fall into the bushes one time. Like fuck. I was like, dude, that's what you get.
Just
The
go
problem-
buy a
the problem
Honda.
with electric
Dumbass.
cars, like it's like if you live within 20, if your living radius and work radius is within 20 miles of where you live, it
Go
makes
for it.
sense.
on my car.
It makes sense. It,
I
1,000%
Go for
makes
it.
sense.
Not even that. Like, not even that. Like, honestly speaking, if you have like a 220 charger at your house, if you have a 220 plug at your house, even if you have a 100-mile commute one way, you're straight, right? You will never go to a charger as long as you have like a newer car. Most of these things get 300 miles to a charge, driving at 80 miles an hour, right?
Yep.
Dude, Honda
What
Ioniq
world do you
5.
live in?
Honda Ioniq 5 will do 300 miles at cruising speed, back and forth.
Not the luxury bitches.
Well, no, of course not. A Lucid Air will, right? But like, no, not the Audis and the Porsches and all that. No, the fuck no. they're
You
not.
have to make sure there's
Yeah.
no AC on so you
Yeah.
can get 200 miles.
No, they
Exactly.
no, the real high dollar shit, like they're they're turning everything off, they're turning off the fucking stereo, they're doing whatever to get that number. But if you get something that's a $50,000 to $60,000 car, people expect the range because they're buying it as their daily driver, right? They're not buying it for their third or fourth or fifth car. So I think there's more honesty in the more pedestrian quote unquote electric cars in terms of range than you'll find in like the high end shit. But for most people, an electric car, real talk, if you have a charger at home or you have access to a charger, it's fine. Like it's perfectly fine. You can't do road trips in it. I wouldn't recommend it. It's a shit fucking experience, right?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Fact.
But if you're just buying it just to go to fucking work in the store and take your kids to soccer practice, they're fucking fine, dude. You won't notice the goddamn difference, except you never have to go to the gas station again.
100%.
It's
Yeah.
like the adult version of buying a 4-cylinder when you're like in your 20s and you start
Exactly.
making money
Yeah.
and you bought something nice and it's like, damn, this motherfucking Camaro costs a lot to go to work. Let me go ahead and get this Integra out the Auto Trader.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same shit. And for that they're fine and they're cool and they're futuristic and they're fast as fuck, all of them. So if you like going quick, they're quick and whatever. But to Zach's point, if you need to tow, if you need to do truck shit, and I'm not talking about off-roading, you can off-road short 20, 30 miles in an electric truck, it's fine. But if you want to do long overlanding overnight trips, if you want to tow
Hell
something,
no.
if you want to buy a fucking gas truck, dude. Just
Yeah, dude,
You know
like,
what I'm
if you want,
saying?
the new tacos are dope. Like I
see like a hybrid truck. I can fuck with a hybrid truck. It makes sense. Like, especially coming from Toyota
Yeah.
to your point, where it's like they've been doing hybrids for 30 years. That thing is going to be bulletproof, right? They have.
and you can still overland with it. You can still do everything.
Yeah.
It's got a turbo 4-cylinder in it. It's
Perfect. It's fine. It's
it
nothing
makes
wrong with
more power, more torque than the V6 did, and better gas mileage.
Yeah, it's like
So, I mean, it's-
465 foot-pounds of torque in the TRD Pro. Like, that's a quick truck. It's going to be the fastest Tacoma you've ever driven, for sure.
Like when I did,
I
when
always
I got my
wondered.
diesel, what happened?
If you're making an electric vehicle and most of these vehicles are sold in the state of California, where it is sunny most of the time, why not have a solar roof?
Thank you.
It's funny because
Awesome.
like there are some cars that offer it, like
I
the
think
new
there
Prius.
was one or two.
Yeah, well, the new Prius you can get it with the solar roof, and it's like a $2,000 option. But solar panels are still so inefficient. It was like if it sits outside all day, it will give you
Yep.
5 miles of range. So it's just
Well, it's
not.
like when you do your
I
house.
mean-
If you don't, then my buddy did he did solar panels on his house, and he actually pays more in an electric bill now than he did before because he didn't do the right amount. And his like my dad did it the right way. He just covered his entire roof, and it was great. He doesn't pay an electric bill anymore. But I mean, if you have the money to do it, cool. But
Yeah, it's like you have to offset the amount of money you're spending on the panels. Like one of my
Right.
buddies just put it on his house, and his whole thought process behind it, he did all the math, and he goes, all it does, all this fucking work I did, will just save me from the spikes in the summer,
yeah,
or like
I
when
mean,
the power goes out, when Texas freezes and ERCOT wants to jam people up for $400 a kilowatt hour, or whatever the fuck, right? He's
Right.
like, I'll just be cruising. And he's
I
like,
mean,
but
shit, maybe because in California you got to share your charge with the fucking
with the grid,
And
right?
the
Yeah,
electrical
yeah,
company. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Which
Like,
I
what
mean,
kind of nonsense is
I
this?
mean, dude, listen. You take the good with the bad, okay? Like every state has its problems. Californians are just a little fucking kookier. You know what I mean?
Oh, bro, like when
little.
they come to Louisiana, they move out
A
really
little?
fucking quick. Like it's not even funny, man. Like down here, you in the deep south, like we are. It gets to the point where like you step outside and you sweat.
Yep.
So it's just
Yeah.
like it gets annoying really quick. And you
No,
got
it's
me over
bad.
here running 4 or 5 miles a day, and
Ooh boy.
you
Bro,
got
it's yeah, it's
You come back
it's,
like you ran into a shower.
well, it's
Yeah.
more humid where
Right.
he's at. Like I'm
It's
in
bad.
I'm in North Texas, so like right now it's so like okay. Case in point, this is how fucking stupid this out is. I've been telling Jamal for 2 months that I'm gonna get a truck out there to pick up that fucking Mustang, and every week I will send him a screenshot like, "This is the weather I'm dealing with: thunderstorm, 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 thunderstorm,
Yes.
like just fucking." We had golf ball sized hail last Tuesday, and then 2 days later there was baseball sized hail 6 miles up the road.
Holy shit.
And it's just I'm just like, dog, I just don't want to park it outside just to get the shit kicked out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me
Oh,
just
yeah.
get the weather to settle
Like-
down, so and then I have a couple months to figure out where to store it. You know what I mean? And like whatever.
10 o'clock at night right now. It's fucking 96% humidity.
Yeah, I think
Like-
Dude,
we're
I
the
remember
same.
going to DC as like a teenager and like, dude, like in the summertime, we walked out of like the hotel and it was fucking insta sweat. Like there's no like stopping it. Like I remember being in shorts and a t-shirt, dog, and like, yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb.
Yeah, I went to
That's
Atlanta
so
as a
dumb.
kid. And
They're
it
like, El
What are we
rained
Nino's
while I
doing?
about
was
to
in the
strike.
pool.
I'm like,
You didn't
Yeah.
even get out.
Like, yeah, what are we doing here? Like, why are we?
Let's
why do I
move to
live?
Texas. They said it'd be fun.
It's dude. Listen, I will. The grass is always fucking greener, homie. I'll put it to you like that. Like that's
I mean,
what I'm
Texas
saying.
isn't it could be worse, to be honest. Like
It could be.
It's
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 not-
Yeah,
pretty
you could be in
brutal.
California.
Yeah, Listen, man, I'm telling you, bro. You say that, I guarantee you, if you lived out here for a year, you would move back and
Hey,
deal with
hey,
all
hey,
the. No,
hey,
you would deal with
maybe
all the.
the things I need are different than what you need, but we're
Listen,
not having a mass exodus for nothing.
No, I
It
know. It's
sucks
just
out
too.
here.
Well, the problem out here we're facing now is like, so everybody's leaving. Well, here's the thing though. A lot of that shit is misguided. Like people are leaving California because it's too expensive, right? Aside, the housing is too
Mhm.
expensive. Do you have any idea how much fucking insurance is out here, bro?
It's
Oh,
expensive.
it's expensive.
Land
Yeah.
taxes were the worst in Texas.
Yeah, no. So property taxes are worse in California by far for property taxes. And the insurance out here for like home insurance, now granted, they're having an issue in California where they just flat out can't get homes insured because of the fires and shit. But like, if you own a house in Houston,
You're fucked.
trying to find home insurance under
Rudolph.
$5,000 a
What is
year,
out of Houston?
bro. Houston is the biggest city in Texas. It has the most, like most of the population of Texas. It's like Portland. Like there's a huge conglomerate of people out there. But
Yeah, it's
any
LA, Texas.
kind of, but like anything in there, like your home insurance is all like $5,000 a year. Which,
Like,
if you do
I
the
think-
math on that, that's $400 or $500 a month.
Like out here, Louisiana, you can get a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in a non-flood zone for like $250, and I think home insurance is like $110 a month.
Yeah.
Like
It's crazy. It's
Louisiana,
fucking-
nobody wants to move here because one, I mean, I'm in a very small town. I got like 7,500 people,
Jesus Christ.
so I mean, it's like everybody knows each other, but I mean, the population on Fort Polk is bigger than the town. Like,
This Mike's
Oh wow.
Mike's just over there screaming.
Sorry.
What the fuck are you screaming about, bro?
there's a
I'll
cat.
tell you later.
Yeah.
Got the Red Bulls.
Oh, those are
It
beers.
take me too. It took me too
Oh,
long
nice.
to explain it to you.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, this it's cool out here, man. It's got its highs and its lows. Just like I said, just like everywhere else. The thing that mainly bums me out about being in the South is that you can't buy alcohol at a grocery store. Which is just
Come to
seems-
Louisiana.
Yeah.
What?
No, you
But
can't.
can't
Yeah.
you buy alcohol like everywhere else?
No,
Can't you
have-
get everything at like one place?
Are the grocery stores run by Mormons?
No, it's just it's a
Law.
The Bible Belt.
it's a Bible Belt.
Yep.
So you have to go to
Yeah.
a liquor store
Yep.
to get liquor. You can get beer and wine at a grocery
But
store.
what he's
you
not telling you is probably his liquor stores are drive-through.
No, not all.
Hey man,
That's-
the liquors are the dopeness.
His liquor
I'm
stores can
telling
get
you.
bullets, gas, liquors, and jeans.
Fact.
Yo, there's a fucking pharmacy up the road from me. It's like guns, ammo, drive through, and I'm like, drive through guns and ammo.
Please tell me you've gone. Please tell me you have gone.
I feel
Please,
like they
yeah.
don't serve my kind there. If you catch my drift. So
You're in fucking Texas. Shut up.
Dude, right.
That's the way it is in Louisiana, man. You go to like there's a grocery store on the side of my house. You just sell gas. They sold more alcohol, so they closed their gas station down. Like it got to
These
that
gas
point where-
licenses ain't worth it.
No,
Yeah.
it was more expensive to run the gas station than it was just to serve alcohol, and it got down to the point where like there's like 75 bars in my town, and
Holy shit.
it got down to, like there's one strip along the highway where it's just bars on each side for like 3 miles.
So if there's 7,500 people in the town and 75 bars, I mean, there's never more than 100 people in a bar at a time.
I don't drink.
How do they all
anymore,
stay in business?
So I don't know. I mean,
You got
they're-
100 loyal customers. You're straight.
No, it's just they're a bunch of people like fucking laundering money for all the bullshit that's coming in the
Oh,
ports.
this
of
is
Louisiana.
most
Yeah.
definitely. There's like a
Yeah.
marble.
Goddamn Ozarks down there.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. for real.
Exactly.
No,
It got
Listen,
down to
no-
that point where they're what happened?
No, go.
There's like a 8-bedroom marble mansion like 3 miles from my house that was for sale for like $3 million in the middle of Louisiana, out in the middle of nowhere.
I'm
And
sure
I'm
there's
just like,
nothing
yeah.
strategic about that position.
No.
Marble
Total-
Mansion.
Totally on the up and up. No problem.
Right.
Nothing to do with drugs or human trafficking at all.
No, 100%.
100%. Yeah, that's the type of shit you see out here. Like I said, man, go with the bad. I just I would club a fucking baby seal to not deal with tornadoes like 6 months out of the year. Dude.
Yeah. get a tornado
Wow.
every
Are
night.
you trying to just get us this
What,
shut
club a
down
baby
today?
seal?
Club a
That's gonna be
baby
the thing
seal.
that's gonna be the thing that puts us
Oh,
over the top. Is
gosh.
clubbing baby seal jokes. I'm pretty sure if you go
Yeah.
back to listen to any of the last 75 episodes, we probably committed a felony. I think we're fine.
That's probably true.
It's
He's
not,
not
not
wrong.
true. It's
You're
not
not
true. Okay, so real talk.
Yeah.
What would it take for you to put a K series in the Integra? Like how?
Not a damn thing.
So like parts are completely unavailable. Are you going Cuba and like manufacturing your own fucking rods, or like what are we doing?
So there's a ton of people in the United States that make parts for this car. There's a ton of people in Japan that are starting to make parts for this car again. And I've been a forced induction guy pretty much my entire life. And I'm not gonna. Every motor that Honda's made had its place. And like all motor, like naturally aspirated, K series is superior by 1,000%.
Right. I've heard this, by
And
the way, from a lot of people.
so I'm not an all motor guy, so I can say fully with K series. And I have met a lot of fast K series cars. I've beat a lot of fast K series cars. And if you look at like the drag racing, if you really want to put it into like a lot of conspiracy people will be like, nah, bro, it's the driver. Everybody knows drag racing is all about the car, and it just gets down to that point where
once you launch the car, it's the car.
yeah, and so there's like a top 10 list in the United States of the fastest Honda doesn't matter drag racing cars in the world.
Right.
The world list, they have the US list. They got a bunch of people. The Puerto Rican people are just insane with rotaries, like
I've seen this.
they
Yeah.
and the number one car that sits in the United States right now is a B series car. So it's like
It's
for me
not
to
Miles, is it? It's not the green one, is
no.
it?
So
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like I was gonna talk about Miles too. Like I met Miles. He's a great dude, and he won't even go K. Like
He's
the
Gringo
B series
Integra,
has
right? Isn't he?
yeah Gringo Integra.
Yeah.
He's got 1,440 wheel horsepower on a 2-liter B series that he
Is
drives
that front wheel horsepower?
all-wheel
Yes.
drive.
Now he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all-wheel drive now,
Front
which I was
wheel.
actually gonna do to my car, but I don't want to cut up my car.
So you've probably all seen this car, but yeah, this thing's.
It's ridiculous.
So
Like
by the way, it still has a full interior, and I'm pretty sure it still has AC. So like,
no AC because
no
the
AC.
turbo. He's got a 78, 75 precision on it now. So
It's
Look-
chunky boy.
That's a big
It's-
old. Look at the
Look at that
intercooler.
manifold. Holy.
Yeah. Look at that intercooler. Dog. The fuck? It thing's wild.
That's a tank.
Look at
so
this,
like
look at this wrinkle on this tire, bro. Like, come on, dude. Yeah.
he's got all wheel. Like when you see a car
Whoa.
sitting on 4-wheel bead locks, just like don't fuck with it.
Jeez.
Like-
It's pretty tight.
Dude, that was nuts.
Yeah. No. So
Like-
this is a fast fucking car. Like this.
So it's
is
a street car ish, if you really want to call it. And he drives it to Starbucks, drives it to the grocery
Yeah.
store.
See, full interior. Still got door
And-
panels in it.
Oh yeah, like mine. I still got door panels, full dash. It just doesn't have like a blower motor or anything in it. I just no carpet and that's it.
Well,
Like
does it have cup holders still?
Yeah, you still have
Yeah.
cup holders.
We
Starbucks.
still got cup holders. Yeah. In here.
You
But
gotta make
the
a
car-
Starbucks run. Come on, dog.
He going through the drive-thru in that thing?
Fuck yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Or is he getting out?
Drive
Like-
there.
it's still got roll up. It's still got electric windows. It's still got electric door locks. It's still got everything. It's still got the sunroof. Still works. And
Dude's a maniac,
It-
and I'm here for it.
and it's funny because that's the way my car was built. Like the windows still work. The sunroof still works. And
I remember when you did the black interior swap, which is the one
Yeah.
thing that I will say that I told you forever. I was like, bro, put a black interior in this bitch. It'd be so sick. I was telling him
Yeah.
it for years. And then I remember like 3 years after I moved out of California, you finally did it. I was like, "Grr, grr."
Yeah, it's got to that point where like the only annoying thing I have on my car is daily driving it with that freaking seat. I mean,
Race
it
X
just
seat? Yeah.
it just gets to the point where like I'll try to like look at something and I'll like almost break my nose every time because I'll just slam it into the
Fucking-
bolsters. But it's just like I got used to it over the years, and like now my car is just getting to the point where like I enjoy driving it now. Like I didn't used to enjoy driving it because there's problem after problem, and then finally I don't know if you remember I was having wiring issues
I
for like the
remember-
longest time.
I remember looking at your Instagram and you like kind of documenting like you were having because it used to because like it's coil unplugged now, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
distributor anymore, and I've noticed
Yeah.
been like that for like a minute, but so that's the thing that I thought was like really interesting watching you build that car like kind of from afar over the years is like it's just a lot of little shit that you would be doing, and I'd be like, that seems like pretty serious long game. Like when you went coil unplugged, and
Yeah.
I was like, that has some obvious performance and tuning advantages, like long term. Like you
So
know what I
like,
mean?
the stock coil is only good till about 8,500 RPM, and then it starts to break up in the top end, and like everybody knows Honda engines just will rev to the moon,
Right.
and like I started experiencing a lot of breakup around 8,000 to 8,500 when you're boosted, and my tuner was just like, dude, go call and unplug already. Like you're gonna blow a motor up if you don't. And
It's gonna lean out or just go
oh
super
yeah,
rich and pre-dead or some shit. Yeah.
like I blew a motor up because of the stock distributor last time. I split the sleeve from the top to the bottom, and
Oh
that one
shit!
cylinder got so hot, and it was just to the point where like it's inefficient, and technology is 20 years old,
Yeah.
so they don't make stock distributors anymore. So I was just like, you know what, phooey on this. I don't want to deal with it anymore. So I just went coil unplug and called it a day. And it's getting to the point where now I'm gonna delete because the distributor's still on the car. It still has to read the top dead center sensor and the crank sensor. So I'm doing a cam trigger setup on it, which I should have did a long time ago, but it's like a full just new technology.
Hall effect sensor type shit. Like
Yeah. So
yeah.
you're gonna have a Hall effect on the crank, and you're gonna have a Hall effect on the cam gear, and it's just there's nothing, and the sensor's only $50 to buy a new one if it goes bad.
And running VTech, that gives you a lot more like tuning ability fucking with VTech when you have everything digital that you can kind of like read
Yeah.
what's going on in real time versus running off a distro, right? Which is just a fucking thing spinning around.
Yeah.
That's see like that type of shit to me is more interesting than like the normal shit you do to make power, right? Which is you put a turbo on it and fucking put bigger injectors and like that shit's cool, but like as I get
And
older and like the little shit like that is way more interesting to me because of like what it brings to the table in terms of tuning. Because a lot of this shit is like, what can you tune into the car? What can you tell the car to look for? What you know what I mean? What can you tell it to monitor it to like get all the
so like
little extra performance out of it?
now that I went to Link, I'm able to see everything. Like Hondata is so old school that it's not even
Yeah.
funny. And I went to Link, and since a new generation ECU and they make the parts for it, I'm able to see all the parameters that I wouldn't able to see before, like knock control and like all of this stuff like that. And I was actually able to see like certain like percentages of fuel that I wasn't able to see up in the top end before. And it's just cool because like you look in like I don't want to blow up a $15,000 race motor. Like I really
Is that
don't.
how
Right.
much
Like,
that costs? Is that how much you spent on your engine?
yeah.
Well, your wife's not listening, right?
But she knows. She's seen all the receipts, man. It's nonchalant now because she knows I'm not gonna stop
Good
building the
man.
car. And
But I mean, you've also had the car for 14 years. It's not like you bought a WRX and you decided to put 10 grand into
Put
it.
an ETS, yeah, fucking put a
Like,
saved block in it, yeah.
yeah,
I remember when he
it's
had his
it's
fucking
different.
SS, bro. I'm so sad that you sold that car.
Okay,
Like,
hold up.
Yeah.
I found one. I found two.
Dude, don't even start him down this fucking rabbit hole.
Shut the fuck up, Mike. The adults are talking.
So
We've been trying to
I
put this
want to
dude
hear
off a
this.
ledge for almost
Okay.
24 hours at this point.
So I sent him a Camaro.
My neighbor has one and a Holden.
That's dope. So I found an SS 1LE Camaro, which is what I wanted before I bought my last STI. And then I was just like, I need something with 4 doors. My kid was still super young. I had sent these dudes a couple of vets that I had found. I found a C5 Z06 with like 48,000 miles on it, silver on with the red and black interior. And it was like 22 G's, and it's local. It's like 15 miles from my house. And I'm like, it's a 5.7, but it's still a fucking Z06, and it's a C5. It's got pop-up headlights. Like, it's dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's cheap.
For 22 G's, yeah, it's super cheap. It's in the chat if you want to look it up.
I saw it, but I never clicked the link.
Yeah, so, and then I found another, then I found a C6 Z06 for 35
Oh.
G's with 30,000 miles on it, but it's a salvage title. And I'm like, but do I care? Would I ever actually sell it? Probably not.
as long as it's not like a flood car or
No, it
like,
wasn't a flood car. It was in an accident. Airbags blew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's like I'm like, dude, it's a red Corvette, 6-speed Z06. Like, it's dope, right? 35 grand. And then I was like, well, it's only got 2 seats, blah blah blah. And I'm just kind of doing this shit, and like I start going down this rabbit hole. And
PTSD.
yeah, well, so I find SS
There
1LE
we go.
Camaros, and I'm like, hey, this is 35 grand too, and it's got a fucking backseat and all this other shit. And I'm sending that to Mike, and he's like, what are you fuck are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? And then I send him, and then this morning, this is where it gets back to the SS. I sent him for like, I found an 8,000 mile Heron White 2016 SS. So Heron White, black interior, 8,100 original miles on it, 54 G's.
That's
And I
not
was
too
like,
bad.
it's not bad at all for 8,000 miles, but it's an automatic and it doesn't have a
Nah.
sunroof. Right, exactly. And it's a 6L80,
Sounds
which
like you should buy an S4.
so anyway. So then I'm like, oh fuck, whatever.
We'll
And
get
I
there,
sent
Tim.
it and I sent it to Jess and I was jokingly like I don't care what vacation I have to okay. I don't care whatever it takes, let me buy this car. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. But if it was a manual and I had a sunroof, like I would be serious. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I would be dead ass serious. And then I'm just looking and I found in Minnesota,
Mhm.
it's the metallic gray, 2016, 32,000 miles, stick shift, sunroof, SS. And they want 44 G's for it.
That's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
That's much more reasonable.
And
God.
it's and the thing that's cool about those is the 2016s it has mag ride, it's got launch control, it's got a 6-speed and an LS3. And 4 seats, heated cooled seat. Hold on, you know the fucking score.
And it's
Yep.
not a $50,000 automatic.
Exactly. With it $50,000 shitty automatic. 6L80s are fucking garbage.
That's not like the 10 speed or
It didn't exist at the time. It's a 6L80E, which is like a garbage transmission. Like they will let go. Like if you put too much power, you put
Better
like
than the
set.
4L80.
I don't care if
Isn't
it
that a
has
truck
8,000
transmission?
miles on it for 50 grand. You're
Yeah.
fucking
My
high.
buddy here in Louisiana, his name's Sean. He has a CTSV coupe, and it's a 6-speed. And me and him, he we went to 2K, and he actually blew it up at 2K.
As one does.
And we ran it probably like 4 or 5 months prior to 2K, and I think I got him by a car, and he's pushing just over 900.
Just
Like,
heavy.
and
Yeah.
his car, like
Yeah.
my car weighs 26 or 27 with me in it, and no,
Good
sorry,
God.
I took weight out of the car, so it probably weighs like 2580 with me in it.
With you in it?
What
And-
the damn?
So you're pushing a 700 horsepower wheelbarrow around?
Pretty
My
much.
car is literally double the weight.
Yeah.
And I laugh because like me and him went at it. He got me down low real hard. Like,
yeah, of course.
dude's on a 335 rear tire, and he's on an ET street. He's on welds. He's got skinnies up front. It's a full drag car,
Right.
and his motor setup is a stock bottom end LSA with a ridiculously huge cam, and it just heads, and that was it.
Like
And
ported blower, like that type shit.
yeah,
Small pulley.
yeah. You had the works done to it top end wise, and so we were in 2K, and I get a call from him like, "Hey man, my car's not turning on." I was like, "All right." He's like, "What do you mean not turning on? Is it not starting, or is it just not cranking?" And he was like, "Car won't crank." I was like, "All right, cool." So we go over there, and I told him start it, and he starts it, and I see smoke like come up out of the engine bay, and it's coming from the starter. And I was like, "Oh, the starter locked up. Like, don't keep trying it." And so we pop start the car. Yeah, pushing a 5,000-pound Cadillac around is not fun. And we're pushing this thing uphill, trying to get it started. So I got tired. I was like, dude, just dump it in reverse. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And he gets it
Just rolling
started.
down the hill and pumping it in reverse.
And he gets it started, and he takes off. I'm like, dude, don't hammer it. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with this starter yet. Like, so I hear him, and he just lays into it real hard. And we get a call like a minute later, and he was, hey, bro. He was like, something just exploded. He's like, I have no idea what's going on. So we roll up the hill, and there's an oil streak that's like 3/4 of a mile long.
Oh,
And I'm just like,
Oh.
all right. So we roll up behind his car, and this dude sent 2 rods. And
Oh,
so the starter friction welded itself to the flywheel. And the starter didn't even break. It just locked the motor up at like 6,500 RPM and just sent the
Oh.
rods to the oil pan. And I'm like walking this oil trail all the way back out. It was Houston Raceway's front gate. He blew it up
Yeah.
right at the front gate. And
shit.
so I walked this oil trail. I found parts of the connecting rod. There was a wrist pin laying in the street. There was parts of the piston that still had the rings on it in the middle of the street. And he was like, yeah, bro. He's like, I think I just need a new oil pan. I'm like, I was like, I don't know about that, buddy. Like, there's a little bit more. They didn't go through the side of the motor, which amazed me because usually when
That's where they
LSs
go.
blow up, they go
Yeah.
everywhere but the bottom.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just
90-degree
like,
V8s, bro. They just go whap.
and it just got down to that point. Like now he's doing some insane shit. He's doing fucking a 90 mil Pro Mod. It's gonna be I think a 416 iron block, 90 mil Pro Mod.
Pro Charger, the big crank turbo
No,
joint.
turbo.
Yeah.
Huge fucking
Oh.
turbo.
Oh.
90 mil Pro Mod turbo.
Oh, yeah.
And he's pushing for like 1450.
I don't even know what I would do with that much power.
Okay.
With AC,
like-
with power steering.
So fast.
Like, dude's just insane with it.
Fucking kill myself so fast, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? With that much power. Like, I don't think the 0 to 60 would fuck me up because I've driven I've driven really fucking fast electric shit. So I'm kind of used to that like brain melting acceleration for the first 60 foot to 100 foot.
The sustaining.
When you shift to third to fourth and you're still in the back seat.
Right.
And it's just going.
The sustaining it straight.
You know, the world's like shaking around you and shit's like, yeah, that's a bit much, dude. I don't know.
Man, that's the way the Integra feels. It's like with the sequential in it now, it's insane because there's no power drop whatsoever. And like since I can flat foot shift the car now, it just gets to the point where like now it's scary to drive because I lay into it real hard and I'll just see the tack go in like 3 different fucking circles. And I'll be able to slap the shifter and it's back into the next gear. And I'm glad I did it because H pattern's great, but once you get a sequential in your car and you drive it on the street, it's really fun. So it just gets to that point
where
you
say
fun.
Once you get a sequential, like it's just like a thing that people do. Like, you know,
It's like my next upgrade. Right?
Yeah, it's just fucking put a sequential,
bro.
Dude, call me when you get your sequential.
Yeah,
I had fun with sequentials when I drove around an E60 M5 for a while, and
you finally got one. You had one?
No, I didn't. It was somebody that I knew, and I wanted to drive the car, and I drove it for a little while, and I was looking at picking one up until I found out how much the fucking hydraulic actuator was, and I was like, I don't think so. I don't want to pay $500 for, just to fix something that's I could take apart in my driveway.
The thing about it with like M cars, and it's like it's been this way for so long, is that they just build those things to run the ragged edge, and they always have fucking.
Oh yeah. If you drive them,
always huge holes in reliability somewhere. Like, well, which one was it? Where like the balance shaft gear would just back out, and so the oil pump would just stop working, and there was no way to know it was gonna happen until you just lost the whole oil pressure, and it would just fucking toast the engine, dude.
So I recently had that happen to the Integra probably about maybe 2 months ago. So I'm driving on the freeway and I didn't realize it. I just got the sequential in the car, so I was like beating the crap out of my car. And I seen the oil pressure gauge go from 100 to 0. And I was like, oh shit. So I shut the car down and I blew the oil filter off. I don't know how I did that.
Fuck?
So I went back up the road and I found the oil filter. So I put it back on the car. And like I cleaned it out and put it back on the car on the side of the road. And my buddy brought me oil. I put it in the car. I thought I rod knocked the motor because I was at 9,800 RPM when this oil filter came off. And my wife was in the car and she was like, what happened? I was like, I think I just blew this brand new motor up. I was like, I have no idea what happened. And
just
surprisingly, like,
blew 15 grand right here, right now.
Right.
So it happened to me 3 other times. And I was like, this motor is insane. Like, but every other time, like, I didn't have my oil pressure gauge set to alarm when it drops below a certain oil pressure. So I didn't even realize it. And it got down to that point where, like, I guess over the years of, like, all the vibration, all the threads on the oil filter housing stripped. And so I bought this. It sucked. And luckily Honda still makes the parts because I would have been shit out of luck on that one.
Yeah, it's like a weird. That's like you're finding a machine shop to make you a billet one. You know what I mean? If you can't fucking find one.
Luckily, Gretty makes a billet one, but I didn't want to pay like $50 for like a pipe thread, and it just got down to that point where like now I'm super meticulous about things, and like all my gauges are set to certain parameters now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you got that much money in a car, dude. It's like if you spend the money on the technology that gives you access to set those things, to build in limp modes and all this other shit, it's like, absolutely, please pay somebody.
Which
push
me
my
to get
car
Link,
will kill it. Yeah,
and like all the other stuff, and like I told my wife, I was like, I need a digital dash. I was like, I need something that's right in front of me that's just gonna blow me with like this yellow, red something to tell me that.
Manifold. Yeah, no, I got
you. And like, I just got a
don't do it.
like I got a Haltech IC7 coming, for it.
Nice.
I mean, it's not a super expensive dash. Like you got Motec's like C1212. It's like $9,000, and it looks like an Audi R8 dash.
Yeah, they're really. I mean,
And
even Holly's shit is pretty gangster these
Yeah,
days.
but
The
why?
big
Like
Terminator
you
one.
don't need a $10,000 fucking digital.
It
No,
don't.
especially especially when the Haltech. It's a great dash. It's robust. You've got big buttons that you can hit with racing gloves on. You know what I mean? If you need to change stuff on the screen and stuff, you know what I mean? Like it's not the prettiest one, but there's a reason so many people use it because
I don't need like this like our Audi R8 dash in front of me that's just gonna read like 5 sensors. Like
Right.
I really don't need all that. Like it got like I was looking at Aim Dash too. Aim Dash has a really nice dashboard, but I mean they're both about the same price. And the cool thing is like Link hooks up to everything. Like it's
Yeah.
literally just my whole car went from being like old technology to everything's CAN now. So it's like everything's just I have a PDM in the car. I don't have fuse boxes no more. I don't have any of that shit, so everything's just all electronic
Holy
PDM run now.
fucking Christ, dude! What the fuck?
So like
I mean,
I
it's
just did it
dope,
because
and it makes so much more. No, it makes tons of sense, right? It's so much more like user friendly, and just it's a smarter way to do things. If we have the technology, it's safer. You don't have to deal with fucking fuses, right? It tells you
yeah,
what
it's
happens.
like it's like everything just reads on my phone, like it's Bluetooth and all that stuff like that. So like if something like pops, like it's not like a fuse pops, but like it'll throw a switch inside the PDM that just shuts down that certain part of the car instead of killing your whole car because like your cigarette lighter fuse went out. Like it
Been
just
there, by the way.
it sucks. Like your whole entire light system in your car stops working because one fuse goes bad. Now it's just like that singular thing that went bad stops working until you fix it, and it'll tell you where the short's at, which is cool
Right.
because the PDM will flash like, "Hey, there's a short here. Like, look for this wire," instead of like
Chasing a wiring
chasing.
diagram, yeah, and
Yeah,
just
exactly. Like
fucking
I fried the
sitting there with their
PDM.
multimeter, like just randomly
Yeah,
poking at shit, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
I fried one PDM because I didn't realize that there was water getting in from my dashboard. There's like where the blower motor used to sit. There's a huge, gigantic hole that goes in from the outside to the end,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I didn't realize that was still open, and water was coming in from the windshield wiper cowl and getting right into my PDM plug, and I didn't realize it. One day, my starter and my headlights and my wipers went on, and like a bunch of shit started going crazy, and like it tripped me out for a little bit, but I mean it's cool to like have technology in an old car. Like newer gen cars, like you get into like a brand new 2023 like Lexus, you're gonna expect everything to be like perfect. But you get into like a '01 Integra, then you're like, oh shit, like everything still works and there's nothing in here.
Right.
That's like that was this is like I was talking to Mike about this today, and I was like, you can like I've been buying new cars, like newer cars for the last 6 or 7 years, right? Like I haven't owned a car that wasn't built like post 2015 since like
Yeah.
my son's been alive, right? And like I think I kind of just miss driving old shit. And like these days, like all the new cool like new car shit that I actually really give a fuck about, Apple CarPlay, I can put into anything for $300. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Pretty
why the
much.
fuck? Why do I need to buy a brand new car? Like I could go drive
Like
an
me,
old vet. You know?
I got Bluetooth speakers like hooked up to the roll cage, just because like I don't have a radio anymore because that's where my PDM sits,
Yeah.
and like it just gets down to that point where like you get rid of the creature comforts because like when I drive my truck, I'm like super comfortable. Everything works. The AC's there, the heater's there. Like the heater in my car is the engine heat coming in through the dashboard. Like
Right.
that's about it. Like I drove it. Like when we drove it up to San Francisco. Oh Jesus, I don't even want to talk about that.
That was
It's dude.
Dude, that was so.
that was
I
such a
remember,
fun
man.
trip, dude. That
I
was
remember
so
those two
good.
chicks that walked into that thing. It was just
We
it was
don't
bad.
talk about that anymore. We don't talk about what happens. We're gonna admit that whole part of the story. Jamal and I am married, and Jamal might as well be. So we're just gonna we're
It
gonna
was a
push
great
it.
night.
It sure was.
What was that? What was that bar next to us? I think it was
I don't
Knob Hill
know.
or something like that. Like
No, it's too sweet, bro. Fucking that whole fucking that whole shit show was so funny. It was, and the funniest thing to me about that is we were on the 5. We were like 150 miles out of LA or some shit, maybe max, and we're doing like 70 miles an
$120.
hour. No, this is before that. Remember? Because
Oh,
we
yeah,
were
okay.
so we're cruising, and like my car was loud as fuck. His car was loud as fuck. We're on the 5. We're like, there's got to be CHP here or whatever. So we're just cruising. this fucking mom flies by us at like 95 in her van with like 7 kids in the car, and I called this fool and I was like, I'm just gonna go for it, dude. Like, we're just gonna fucking see what happens. And it took us like,
You're cool.
what the fuck, Jamal? Your audio's breaking up really bad. I have no idea what you're saying. Is it your headphones? I don't know what's going on. Anyway, did we lose him? Are we losing him? You can hear me. Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee.
Is that a bark?
Is that a bark?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, it was just that was a fucking fun trip. That's like those kind of memories, that kind of old scumbag shit when we were just young and didn't have any responsibilities. I think
The
back to
fucking
them.
upside down exhaust. But I just walked into your room. I walked into your room at your old apartment with like a Modete in my hand and was just like, dude, you should turn that upside down and put it on your 240. And I was just like,
I remember
oh
that.
man, dude.
So stupid. I remember taking it to the muffler shop and I was like, hey, I want you to mount this to my car. And he goes to mock it up. And Timmy, it's a turn down exhaust, right? Like, so it's supposed to hit the ground or whatever. And he's like, he starts mocking it up to like turn it down. I was like, no, the other way. And he goes, what? I was like, yeah. I was like, I want you to do this with it. He's like, that's gonna make it loud as fuck. I go, huh?
Dude, I remember fucking. Oh, what was it? I remember you just put your front brakes on that morning. Like you and Jamal finished the car, no sleep.
You don't know.
Like-
You don't, bro. You don't even. That's not even half of it, dog. I wasn't that. It was. I put on.
You explained this on that episode, like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, 2 ago. So anyway, it was. I did control arms. I rebuilt my calipers and painted them. Like sandblasted them, cleaned them, painted them. All new control arms. Reset my timing. All this shit. Thrashed it all night, and then met up with you motherfuckers, and then drove to San Francisco.
It was funny because it was a day before you called me and you're like, "Hey, bro, let's go to San Francisco for Wickfest." I was
You're
like,
okay.
I was like, cool. And then oh, dude, Julio gets nailed by a rock out of my sunroof because he's hanging out of the sunroof down the freeway at 80. It just gets waxed by a rock from a big rig in front of me, dude. They hit him right in the center in the forehead.
I remember
Like,
that. Oh,
dude.
Fuck. God, we were fucking idiots, dude. God, that shit's so good. Good times, simpler times, man. You know, no fuel injection, none of that shit. Just stupid fucking idiot shit. Anyway, man, I think that's a show, boys. That was like 2 hours. Yeah,
Almost.
Call it a show.
Love it.
We'll call it a show. Zach, thank you for coming on, man. As always, you can check out Zach at Master Uguay DC2 on Instagram. Go check out. It's a fucking really sick car, and I highly
It's just a
recommend.
Honda.
It's just a Honda. Fucking $15,000 race engine, sequential transmission, link ECU, 700 horsepower. But who's counting? Right, pish posh, little minor details. Like and subscribe. Smash the notification buttons. Go get your merch at redmatchpodcast.com. We will be back in a couple weeks. It'll just be the boys that week. And we'll be talking about some more fucking scumbag automotive shit. Do dumb shit with your friends with cars because the felonies will fall off your records, but the memories will never go away. You know?
That's a great point.
That's a great point.
You can always get out of jail, baby. Anyway, we'll take care, guys. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Bye.
Bye.